Well, if you haven't made the choice to come and join us on Unapologetically D, thank you so much for joining us. You are here with me and the rest of our fam, and we're about to get into it because what is this episode about? Toxic relationships, toxic friendships. Coming to you directly from me, your host, ABCD. And this is all about a peek into my journey with toxicity. Are you ready, fam? Here we go. Boop. Cheers to you and cheers to me. Boop. We're about to get on here and talk about some real life-ish. Buckle up, buttercup. It's about to get real. Oh, yeah. What you gon' do, girl? What you gon' do? What you gon' do? Alright. What are we about to get into? I said, what are we about to get into? Better keep watching. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about my story, the deeper part of my story, which I saved till the end because it is quite deep. And then when I realized, and I had a conversation with my mentor yesterday, second time of him being on Unapologetically D, Mr. Lou, shout out to Lou, let's talk about it with Lou J. And he said to me, D, are you ready to talk about that? And I'm going to be real. I really thought that I was. I thought that I was ready to put it all out there. But the more that I think about it, I think I need to hold off a little bit more. So this part 3 of my story is just going to be about toxicity in relationships. We're going to hang off on that other part until a little bit later when I really feel like I can dive into it. So I'm going to ask you to hang with me as I take you through this journey of me being extremely raw. The last part of this video, I said I was going to hang off on something that I fully intended on talking about in part 3 of my story. But when I thought about it, especially after having conversation with a friend, I realized that I am not quite at that point. And that really is what this is all about. It's all about being raw, open and honest. And you know what? I'm not afraid to get on here and say, guess what, guys? Fam, I thought I was going to be able to do this before, but then I rethought it, and being that it's a part of my journey and how I heal and am healing continuously, I don't really think that opening up that can at this moment is going to be like, I'm not going to give myself a gold star for it. So just hang with me. We're getting into toxicity, the relationships. I've got 3 that I want to talk about. The things that transpired in my earlier life, my childhood years, young, before, preteen, how those things, without going into detail, really shaped me and then catapulted me into the way that I dealt with relationships and what I thought a loving relationship was supposed to look like. Fam, keep watching. If you want me to be real, which is what I said I'm always going to do, the toxic relationships did not start. Let me just rewind this and say this. The toxic relationships that I was involved in started way before I was 21. Way before I was 21. They started during high school. In high school, I was at a place in my life where I thought I knew everything. Parents knew nothing. And I wanted to be with thugs. People that didn't want to go to school. people that didn't give a damn about whether or not they accomplished anything in their life. You know, I was chasing the whatever. I don't even really know what you want to call it, but I'm going to put it to you this way. I put my parents through it for at least 2 years, and I didn't get a damn thing out of any of those relationships. As a matter of fact, just to be straight up with you, one of them asked me to hold on to something for him. And he rode in a separate car from me. This was back in high school. Little did I know that what he asked me to hold on to could have gotten me, I don't know, 10 to 20 in the pen. Yeah. And it's not like you don't know this. Anybody that's watching this probably already knows this. The unfortunate part about toxicity, before I get into these relationships, yeah, I was not too smart and held on to something that, like I said, could have gotten me 10 to 20. Here's the thing with toxicity that I have learned in my own personal experiences. Remember, this is my opinion. This is what I am telling you from what I went through in my life. Toxicity is like a circle of nonsense and a circle of madness. You make the decision to stay in that toxic relationship for whatever that reason might be. Friendship, relationship, remember, it can be either or. It doesn't have to be one, or it can be one or the other. It doesn't matter. Friendships can be toxic too, fam. So you make the decision to stay in that toxic relationship for whatever the reason might be. Maybe your confidence is not the best. Maybe you feel like you are obligated in some type of way to stay in that. Maybe there's children involved. Maybe you feel like you're financially strapped and there's no way out of it. Well, let me tell you something. I've been there, done that with all of those. You need to bounce. It's not easy, but you need to bounce. Those individuals that you are allowing in your life are what I and have referred to on other episodes, soul suckers. They need to go far, far away from you because you cannot sparkle and shine when somebody is sucking your soul from you. Right? Right. So, I will get to a point where I am able to talk about the stuff that I was saying from my childhood years, but I'm just going to give you an idea, okay? Betrayal, deception, hurt, disappointment, and confusion. Those are words that come to mind when I think about that. What did those things that transpired in my life cause me later on in my adult life and how I dealt with my relationship, not only with people, but also with food? Well, I feel like it completely scarred me in a way that I was not really seeing things clearly because of the misconceptions that I had in my head of what people that you trust are capable of doing. Okay, so I'm just going to say it like that, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part, fam. So, fam, if you've watched any of the previous episodes, you will see that one of the things that I don't have any problems with now, but I have over the years throughout my life, is confidence. Why? Because certain things that take place in your life that are traumatic, that are frustrating, you know, just like bad experiences or just experiences that like hit you in the gut, they can really negatively affect you in the way that you look at everything moving forward. So the confidence, again, a big piece of that was you want to try to take things and like shove them under the rug and like forget about them or block out. I think that's a defense mechanism. So I blocked out lots of pieces of my life during that time because it's better to just make it go away than to have to actually deal with it. And that was how I was feeling at that point. Because I was like, I just want to move forward. Well, knowing this in the back of my head while I'm trying to be in a successful relationship and failing more than once, you got to try to figure something else out. You got to try to figure something else out. One of the things that I tried to do was really, really take care and nurture other people while putting myself to the wayside, putting myself on the back burner, being a people pleaser for years and years and years and years in friendships, in relationships, and those relationships that were extremely toxic. Oh, it's okay. That's my project. I can make it better if I just do this or if I just do that. Bruh, that ain't the answer. That is never, ever, ever going to be the answer. I promise you that. You can't fix nobody. If somebody doesn't want to make a change, that's on them. Don't put it on you. If somebody doesn't want to make a change, it ain't your job to try to make them want to make a change. And let me tell you this, it's never going to happen. Because if they're not ready, then it doesn't matter, fam. And it is not your job. So, I'm going to put a little right up here about toxicity or toxic. What does it mean in a relationship? Again, fam, thank you again for joining us. You are here with us on Unapologetically D. Real people, real voices, and I always want to make a real impact. So right now I'm talking about, we are getting real deep down and dirty, and I'm talking about my story. This part of my story is specifically going into 3 different relationships that were extremely toxic. However, I will say this. If there's always, you can find a silver lining in something, that didn't necessarily make the most sense, but always trying to find a silver lining. That is what I do. I learned a lot from each of these relationships, all of which took place at different stages in my life, from a young age in my teens to the majority of my 20s, and then right in the beginning of my 30s. And then I was like, I ain't doing this nonsense no more at all. So let's get into it. So here's some of the things that took place when I went into my very first toxic relationship, which was, I'm going to say the age of 17. Now, I met this individual when I was a young girl, tenderoni, 15. I did end up having my amazing, so handsome son with this person. And again, this is my story. So I'm just going to be very straight into the point. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I experienced in this relationship. So, infidelity, just like being lied to a lot. A term that wasn't used back then when I was a young girl, gaslighting. Let me tell you something. I don't remember the name of the lighter fluid company that you use when you're trying to barbecue, but this person, straight up, has shares in this company because gaslighting was their second name. So in a toxic relationship, you can have somebody that pumps you up and makes you feel some type of way, and then they, try to sprinkle in all the BS. Yes, that is a thing. That was a thing. And because, again, remember I said my confidence was just like down in the drain. I just allowed for that to be okay. And I accepted it because I thought to myself, oh, well, if I just do this differently or if I just do that differently, then this won't happen. Girl. No, that's not it. And if it's on the reverse side and you're the man, homie, that's not it. Don't let somebody gaslight you. Do not let somebody gaslight you. You are too smart of an individual. You are too bright and you have too much to offer to let somebody steal your sparkle and shine. And that, fam, that's what I was doing back then. I was letting somebody steal my sparkle and shine, just like the Grinch tried to steal those kids' Christmas. That's what I was allowing to happen. But it's because my confidence was down in the drain, down in the freaking, way down in the bottom of the way down, flush it down. It ain't coming back. And it stayed there for a very long time, fam. For a very long time. So remember, fam, I said that weight has always been a thing. So we're still talking about toxic relationship number 1. Back then, I don't really think that I necessarily thought about my weight too much. Again, I was a young girl. I kind of was just like, I'm good. I don't really even think that it played a role in any of the decisions that I made. I think insecurities in general played a role. And also, again, like I said, having my amazing and oh so handsome son with this person, I just really wanted to have a family unit because that's what I was used to. If you have watched any of the podcasts previously, you've seen me talk with my mom and with my dad, and those people have been fam. My parents have been together for over 50 years, and I just wanted to like replicate, duplicate, you know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted. So I think that also played a role in the reason that I decided to stay in these relationships. So, you know, there's more to the story with that, but I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to relationships 2 and 3 because I can get deeper into those ones, fam. Way deeper. So the next one, met this individual at a bar, club at the age of 21. Within a day, we were hanging out with each other. Within a week or two, he was over all the time. Introduced him to my son some months later because that was something, I ain't playing with that. So that was not immediate. We would hang out, go to the movie, do this and that. Oh, yes, that's right. He took me to the movie the next day after we met. So I thought, oh, that's cool. This is a nice dude. Now, mind you, the last person I was with was my son's dad. Okay. And it had been some time. So him and I fast track it. He has 2 kids. I have my son. We get together, and during this relationship, I don't know how many times we broke up and got back together. Let's talk about some of the reasons why. So we're back in toxic relationship number 2. So this individual met at 21. He had 2 kids. I have my beautiful, beautiful son. We tried to mesh each other together, families together, I should say it like that. Things were okay. Our boys were a year apart, and then it was cool because he had a daughter as well. Issues with the baby mom. Problem number 1. Now, remember, I already had trust issues, okay, from previous. Now, here comes this fool making me feel like everything is good. And then, before you know it, boom, just like that. Oh, well, let me rewind it back. We made the decision that we were going to, he was going to move in. Okay, this is down the road sometime. A year or so after dating. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe you should contribute to the rent, because that's nice. Maybe you should contribute to anything else that is required to be in a place with a roof over your head where you're paying all your bills. My rent was like $500 back then, fam. And here comes this fool who, yes, had a job, but just, and I accepted it. That's the thing. Again, confidence in the drain. Accepted it because I had treated food like as a comfort. And so I put on more weight, and I just never really felt like, I don't know, like, Stella didn't get a groove back then, but like I felt like that at a young age. Like I needed to get my groove back, and it just wasn't happening. And this was comfortable, and it was something that I knew, so I just stayed in it. Meanwhile, this fool cheating, being away from the house for multiple days. He actually left the state, fam, and went to a whole nother place, California, for a week. And then here comes he walking across the grass like nothing happened. After you've been gone for a week. And my son is involved? Yeah, no. So when you think about it, what do you think the reasons are that I stayed in that relationship? Let's talk about a couple more things that took place besides, leaving the state and staying gone for over a week and then wandering back across the grass like nothing had ever happened. How about this? You're driving down the street. He's the driver. You're the passenger. I don't realize that my headlight is out. The city that I lived in at the time, that we lived in at the time, that means you get a ticket. Well, that also means that if you get pulled over and the individual driving your car has a suspended license that they tell you they didn't know about, that your car gets impounded. Fam, I don't have the time for this nonsense. I am a single mom working a job. Back then, it's not like I was making a lot of money. I was making good money, but I mean, every little bit counts. I don't have time to have to go get my car out of the impound. This fool gets clinkety clink. I go to try to help him after my car has been impounded. And I had to ride in the back of the police car back to my apartment so that I could try to find paperwork to help him and get his ass out of jail. So when I started to look for this paperwork inside of his car, fam, what did I find? 500 phone numbers in Seattle, people The Stranger. It's a newspaper that came out way back in the day. You could have like ads for escorts in there. You could have ads for strippers in there. All kinds of things, right? He had multiple clippings. Not just the paper, clippings. Phone numbers written down. All this, that, and the other. I still stayed with him. Now, fam. I said I still stayed with this person. I stayed with him because we're going to take it back to the fact that I said I was not feeling confident in who I was as a woman. So I stayed with him. Fast forward, we break up, we get back together, we break up, we get back together. This happens multiple times, okay? And then it got to a point where I think I started realizing that I just was better than this. But that is not where it ended. Lifetime Movie Network, Oxygen Channel. I could have been in one of those. Straight up. Let me paint a picture for you. Christmas party for my company. Just a nice little local place that we went. Here he comes telling me he can't get somewhere. We're not really together. We're in that in-between phase. And my not so smart behind, decides that I need to go and help to retrieve him. Well, that's when the movie started. Isn't that how they all start? Things are good in the beginning. Everybody's having a great time, laughing, maybe tossing back a drink or two. And then next thing you know, everything freaking goes to shit. Yes. Yep, still stayed with him. Okay, so here's the, I love it when my friends message me when I'm in the middle of a recording, but anyways, here we go. I needed to save him. Captain Saver Man. That was me. I get him. He tells me that everything is good. He just needs X to get back to his car, which was about 20 to 25 minutes away. Why I decided to allow this man to convince me to do this, I don't know. Let me just tell you this. When you're rolling down the highway at 90, that ain't good. You should never be rolling down the highway at 90. You should also never have somebody, when you finally get them to their senses and allow for them, or they allow for you to get out of the car, try to talk to them. At this point, you need to bounce. At this point, I did not. What did I do? Are you okay? Oh, whatever, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Mind you, we are in a public place and in an industrial area. And I mean, I would think it probably looks a little suspicious. Here's two people in a parking lot having a conversation at this time of the night. So he then proceeds to tell me. So here's what he told me. I love you. If I can't be with you, then I don't want to be with nobody. Bruh. If you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with nobody. And then he proceeded to put his mouth on the tailpipe of his car. I was like, I probably need to roll. So I proceeded to leave out of the parking lot at a very high speed. Again, not good, industrial area, late at night. Driving down what we call here in the area that I live in, East Valley Highway, West Valley Highway, at a very high pace. He has driven over 1 to 3 curbs. 1 to 3 curbs. And is missing the rubber on one of the rims of his car. That does not prevent him from continuing to chase me down the highway. No, it does not. Hey girl, let's get chased down the highway, because that's cool. Meanwhile, in my rear view mirror, I can see sparks flying out from the back of his rim because he's rolling down the highway on metal. I then pull over because I'm like, I'm going to go to jail. He's chasing me. I don't know what's happening. And this is like craziness. I'm going to fast forward. So I pull off of the road. He then comes and punches out the window in my car, takes my phone and my keys. I'm able to convince him to give my keys back to me, but not my phone. Now, this is back when there were still payphones, okay? So I then rushed to the payphone after he kept me there for, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and call, oh, who do you think was the best person for me to call? My son's dad, stepping right back into that toxicity. Because comfort. So unhealthy for so many reasons, yet I still wasn't seeing it. So you would have thought that I would have been done at that point. Nope. Ain't nothing like getting kidnapped, being chased down a highway, and continuing to stay in that toxic relationship because your confidence is so low. But that's what I did. Fast forward, and he convinced me to get back with him. Lovely, that's great. We continued on, off and on, for some time thereafter. I actually relocated and moved about 30 minutes south with my son into a place with him out of my apartment. And that all came crashing down. And that all came crashing down because he was never a person that I was going to be with for a long period of time. And oh wait, hold on. 6.5 years is a long time. That's how long we were together. 6.5 years. Round and round in a vicious circle. Unhealthy. Continuing to do it because my confidence was nil, nada, nothing, zero, zip zilch. And when I look back on that and reflect, it's like, dang girl, it really was like that. And it really, truly was. What finally was the straw that broke the camel's back is that he, like, out of left field, made some ridiculous comments. And when it comes to kids, like, I just am like, And instead of trying to have the conversation and talk through it, even though he had been with me for as long as he had, he chose to go a different direction. And I was like, adios, man. And do you know this fool tried to come back after I was with my man that I've been with for 15 years, after we were together for like a year, and said, can we be friends? Can we be friends? No, we can't. All right, so we've learned our lesson about getting kidnapped and a bunch of other things. But still, we decide to move into toxic relationship number 3. Now, this one presents itself like, let me sweep you off your feet. Matter of fact, first time we met, this might sound crazy to some people, but this man came in with some flowers that were part of the landscape outside of the restaurant that he took me to and handed me them. And I was like, okay, that's a little ghetto. However, that's kind of cute. I introduced him to my mom after some time, because yes, I have fast forwarded. She said, no, he ain't no good, girl. He is a snake. Again, I know everything, fam. Can't tell me nothing, Mom. Okay. So my mom says he's no good. I didn't want to believe her. I stayed with this guy for quite some time. I don't know, maybe a year and a half or so, give or take a little bit. Off and on, never necessarily, yeah, it was a committed relationship. However, he always had a problem. He always didn't know whether or not he needed to go back and try to make things work with his daughter's mom. It was always a thing. Meanwhile, here I am like, oh, it's okay, I'll accept it. I accepted that nonsense. And then came a defining moment. Let's talk about that. Hey, person X that I'm with at the moment, at that time, want to take a trip down to the ocean? Yeah, that sounds like it would be a good time. We're going with a couple of other people. One of those individuals is a close friend of mine at the time. I never really picked up on anything up until the very end. Where is this person? Where is this person? Why are they not in the house with us? Where could they possibly have gone? Somewhere with each other. Mama didn't raise no fool. And when things go missing that you purchase together, fill in the blank. And you start off with X amount, and you end up with X amount. And the reason as to why that is the case is the lamest, most ridiculous excuse as to why. Oh, but I wanted to hang on to this for later, for us. Again, my mama didn't raise no fool. You didn't use those. And it was not with me. See how the toxicity can go each way? Relationship, friendship. There's no discrimination there. Painful, but true. So we've gone through toxic relationship 1, 2, and 3. Now on 3, I didn't necessarily wrap it up. Let's just say this. Once I realized that this fool was out there doing that with my very good friend, I realized that both of them needed to kick rocks. However, it did not necessarily happen with the friendship immediately. It definitely didn't happen as quickly as it did with the relationship, because that was a lot easier for me to say, like, pound sand, deuces, adios, see you later, but never really planning on seeing you later type of thing. I think at that point in my life, I realized that there were things that I didn't want to accept. However, I wasn't necessarily at a place in my mind mentally where I had figured out how to not accept them. I still allowed for them to continue on and have a place in my life, which is one of the things that you can do when you're so used to living in this unhealthy space. Okay, that's what I did. But not no more. We ain't doing that no more. But I will say this. The unhealthy traits and characteristics that I picked up and or learned, or was a person that experienced from the person that was my partner at that time. So I was on the receiving end. I carried that into my relationship that I am in now. And I'm not going to get into all of the details of that on this episode. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have a completely separate episode talking about that. And I might even bring my man in so he can tell you how that affected him. Because let's just picture this. You leave for work. You leave for work and you drive down to the end of the road and you park out like you're a PI because you think your man is going to cheat and do something dirty. That was never the case. But I had to realize that, fam. I had to understand that. And that can happen. Toxic relationships can follow you even when you are out of them. So as I attempt to wrap up this very personal and raw episode about me and the part of my journey that involves toxic relationships, I want to share a few things with you. I realized that throughout all of this, I legitimately have the ability to block out complete parts of the timeline in my past, in my previous life. I have that ability to legitimately block it out. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm taking the time to peel back all of these things, just like an onion, one layer at a time. We're diving deep into things that were traumatic experiences from my past. I know that my story can help somebody. That is the reason that I am doing this. It is my goal. It is my passion. I've always loved helping people. Now I'm taking it from the physical side of it, and hopefully this is going to do something that's going to also help you mentally. My goal is that I just want to touch somebody. I just want to help somebody. Healing, it's yours. It's nobody else's. It's your journey. Take as much time as you need. That is what I am doing right now. I continue to heal each day. I learn more about myself each day. And I do not rush anything. No. This is not a timeline. There's no timeline on this. You go at your own pace, fam. You need to work through whatever it is that you need to work through in your time frame. Do not let anybody else tell you when something needs to be completed. No, it doesn't work like that. Look, things that happened to me 40 plus years ago still affect me. No roadmap, no rule book. Your journey. YOURS. It is yours. So as I wrap this up, I just want to leave you with this, my final thoughts on this portion of my story. I'm just going to move it around over here. So there's been trauma. I've been silent. There's been pain. I've learned so many things through all of this. It is that healing isn't linear. It's messy. It's hard. You have to want to show up to do it. It takes everything within you. You have to show up in order to be able to get to the end of your healing journey. Remember, there is no timeline on this. So your healing journey can continue on and on and on. I'm no longer scared. I'm no longer broken. I'm in the process of healing and being strong and being loud and living my life and saying it like it is, like my mama, because, you know, like I said, you got to watch. Thank you again for being here, because this is, I was going to say, you got to watch like previous episodes. You got to see my mom's story. And oh, by the way, we will be back because we both love ourselves some reality TV and we have a lot of opinions. So we're going to be talking about that. Boom. Keep watching, and you got to hit that subscribe button, because that's how you're going to be able to be informed, to know when I'm coming on and have something to say. I'm still healing. I'm still learning. And I am still choosing to speak my truth out loud. I am no longer muted. Somebody out there needs to know that you can heal too. And it's one truth at a time. So that is the reason that I decided to break this down into multiple parts, because I want for somebody to be able to connect with me. I want to connect with you, fam. Let's build a community together. One day at a time. We got this. We can and we will. Just like I tell people in my cycling class, fam. We can and we will. So keep on watching, like, subscribe, and share. You know, it means the world to me that you made the choice to be here with me. But share it with your friends, share it with your family. Again, I want to help as many people as I can. And this has been all about my journey with toxic relationships, and there's so much more that we're going to dive into. So hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified when more things come out. And oh, by the way, I'm funny too, so you're gonna have to watch my shorts. And with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, fam. Have an amazing and blessed day. Thank you for joining me, and we're out. Deuces. Boop, boop, boop. Hey fam, a quick message for you. Healing isn't one size fits all. Abuse, whether physical, mental, or emotional, leaves marks that most can't see. But all of it is harmful and all of it is whack. So as I sit here today, I realize that choosing not to talk about certain parts of my story in part 3 isn't avoidance, it's alignment. I'm honoring where I am in my healing journey. There's no playbook, no timeline, and no right way to do this. Healing is personal, it's messy, it's sacred, but it's mine. I'll get to those chapters in time, but until then, thank you for walking with me as I continue down this path, unlearning, releasing, and reclaiming who I am.